we on? I think we are. Yes, we're on. Okay. Sorry, there's a delay on the thing that I'm using to see what's going on. I'm still new, guys. I'm still new. Everything audible? We good? It's good to see you guys. Not literally, but you know. A lot of the same faces as usual. You know, like awesome. It's really cool. I've got a new camera, so hopefully the quality's a bit better. I did notice at the end of the last one, listening back to it, that that you could only hear it out the left ear. Hopefully that's not the case now. Hi everyone, how's it going, guys? Yeah, it's amazing to see that anybody is here at all is wild to me. It will never not amaze me. You know, and yeah, and like I said, a lot of the same faces, which is pretty awesome. Yeah, so what I think is we just kind of stick to the same basic structure as last time. Maybe I think we'll get to the end of it this time. There's not that many chapters left until we're finished. Hi guys. So maybe we just give it another minute or two before we get started, just to make sure that everyone's there. Obviously, the in the comments I've left it pinned where we're at right now in the current chapters, and then thank you, I appreciate that. So much work goes into each one. So I appreciate that you guys, that any of you enjoy and watch the content is amazing, really. Thank you. But yeah, no. So what I'm thinking is we just kind of follow that. So once we get a couple more minutes in, we'll just jump into the rest of it. I mean, look, this is I really think that this is just a really cool way of doing things. I wish we could actually see it all together as we went, but yeah. Oh, sorry to see you go, man. Yeah, I don't know if this is the best time. I know that a lot of people watch from the States, and I'm in the UK, so it's kind of difficult to align exactly. But hey, you know, that's just how it is. So, right, what I'm thinking is probably just get going from last time. If you're all cool with that, you're all ready for that. Let me just see. I think we're on chapter 172, which is those pygmies are scary, right? So we've got the tiny little people in the middle of a fight, and Ida's hair just got caught on fire. So hair, very flammable, guys. Let me just play the background music, just so that it's not too dull. There'll be moments where I'm trying to think of things to say. I mean, anybody who is new that hasn't seen the previous stream, the actual quality of the analysis is ever so slightly less refined than the full stuff, just because, you know, there's no writing involved with this. It's just off the cuff. I thought about making notes, but you know, I mean, the idea is each Monday when a new chapter comes out, when we're not in a hiatus, a dry period, we just jump on the stream in the afternoon or evening or whatever. Honestly, like, having no Dandadan today. Oh, it's too loud. Is that better? That sound better? Exactly, yeah. Having no Dandadan today was ruthless. I don't know how we're supposed to go another 3 weeks of this, because they left it as such a spot, right? But yeah. So, let's just do this. Okay, awesome. Thanks, guys. Amazing. Right, so chapter 172, we see Ida with her hair on fire, and she's being told to unravel her hair quickly. So the pygmies have basically tied up her hair, right? It's the same thing that we saw with the actual Acro Silky, where her hair got caught up in everything around her, and then the gang used that against her, essentially. And that same weakness is transposed over to Ida as well, in her Acro Silky form. So her hair's on fire, and Okarun jumps in with a knife to slice it off at the source, just so that the fire doesn't reach her head. And as we saw in the last chapter, Okarun's he's jacked now, right? He may have lost Turbo Granny's powers, but the stuff that he gained during that period of time, you know, that's permanent stuff. And we saw him smoke. You remember the guy from the first chapter who was going to throw the magnet at Okarun? We saw him get absolutely smoked by Okarun in gym class, right? Which will be relevant later, but it also shows us that Okarun's cool now, right? Yeah, he got there with he was doing the exercises, right, behind the school, so it pays off, which is awesome. It's great to see, and it also means that he can hold his own despite not having, Turbo Granny. Interview. I didn't realize that there was an interview coming out. That will be very cool. He always wears the mask, doesn't he? Like he doesn't reveal his identity, so that's interesting. He's honestly, Dandadan's fantastic, and from what I've read about Tatsu, he's got a very interesting kind of story and background, Anyway, so Okarun cuts her hair and he apologizes for doing it. He's mild-mannered, right? Like that's just how he is, and explains that he had to do it. And Ida says, that he saved her essentially because the fire would have set her alight, set her ablaze. And Momo points out, rightly so, that they're in a kitchen and that there's gas in there, and fire and gas are naturally dangerous. So Momo tells them to cut off Acro Silky's hair, Ida's hair, where it's tangled, and that Momo will handle the fire. So the pygmies are tiny, just tiny little guys, and they have a bunch of Home Alone style traps in the room, and they're throwing like knives with these little contraptions at the gang. And Ida and Momo are, they're obviously able to hold their own despite the fact that only Momo can see them. However, despite even with his new, strength and stuff, Okarun's still pretty much at in an awkward spot here, right? Because he doesn't have powers at all anymore. So if a knife gets through any of their defenses, he's gonna have a hard time defending against it. Okarun points out that they can't see the pygmies still, and they basically have no clue as to how many there are. I mean, how many are they facing? And we see a shot of the room, and Momo points out that there's millions of them, and every little dot that we can see in the room is essentially one of the pygmies, right? So there are a ton of them, like there are loads. And it seems unlikely that in the current capacity that they could actually take them all on. And just like that, the pygmies start to climb up Okarun. And we get back to the classic kind of situation where oftentimes in this series the answer to these situations is to strip, right? I don't know how it keeps happening, but Okarun pulls off his shirt to try to get the pygmies off of him because they're climbing up his clothes, and he starts using it to whack away at the pygmies, despite the fact that he can't see them, and Ida does the same. And just like that, the pygmies start to knit. They start to knit up. Hi, man. No, we've just got started. Don't worry. I think I'm kind of recapping a couple of things from the end of the last one, but no stress. Yeah. So the pygmies start knitting up their clothes to the floor, knitting them in place, and as usual, the uniforms are basically getting destroyed. And I presume that Saiko's going to be the one to pay for that, as usual. I mean, again, this is just part and parcel for Dandadan, right? Is the destruction of the school uniforms. So they start knitting the uniforms in place, and Momo's freaking out because obviously they're starting to strip. And this is just after the confession, so it's especially tumultuous for Momo and Okurun. They're in a bit of a weird spot with their relationship, as we're going to see soon. Anyway, they start to knit Okurun's trousers to the floor as well, and they're knitting them very fast because there's like a million of these guys, right? And only Momo can see them, and she's just kicking away at them. She's about the size of one of the pygmies, so it works. Anyway, the fight just continues, and they keep getting knitted to the floor, and Ida essentially orders Momo to protect them from behind, despite the fact that she's stretched pretty thin as it is, because she's the only one that can actually combat them. It's another thing here as well is that we see Ida just dishing out orders again, and we're going to see this a bit more, I think, in this arc, but also just generally going forward. Ida she's obsessed with this idea of being the leader, yeah, but she actually has started to manifest legitimate leader traits. Ever since the Space Globalist arc, she's started to be the one to take charge of the situation. You know, she's competent, and she is a quick thinker in ways that I think that the rest of them don't necessarily immediately fall into, which is really cool, because that's Ida all over, right? That's her personality. Anyway, Momo points out that they need to find the girl that's controlling the pygmies in order to stop them, and she's in the room somewhere, but where, nobody knows. And she can't tell where her order is just because of how many pygmies there are, which are getting in the way of her being able to find the girl. And essentially Momo rightfully points out, the genius that she is, that the girl knows that she'll be in trouble if she gets attacked, and that means she is intentionally hiding because she is the weak point, essentially. And as again, as usual, slowly more and more clothes are just coming off and off and off, because that's just apparently how it goes, right? And then Ida points out that if she's to strip in front of anyone, at least it's Takakura. Which, again, I think that their relationship has been pretty straightforward. I also feel that Ida's been pretty clear about what it is that what she feels towards Okurun. Like, you know, since day one, she's been kind of obsessed with him, and that's not really gone away. And this is another thing that we're going to see a lot of in this arc, and kind of where we're left as well, as we're going to see pretty soon, is that these lingering feelings outside of the main Momo Okurun ship, as it were, are going to need to be confronted. And I think that they're intentionally being pushed to the forefront of some of these panels, intentionally, just to remind us that this is the case. But yeah, we'll see, right? Anyway, Momo tells Ida and Okurun to keep moving, so that the pygmies are essentially drop their attention from her, and also it means that they're not going to get caught. If you can't see your enemy, you've got to keep moving. And we see them essentially running around. Again, Okurun is absolutely jacked, and Ida's just down to purely her underwear and skirt. So, yeah. Okurun points out that they can't see the enemy, and it makes it more difficult for them to lure them as a consequence of that, as he dodges knives. Ida's still incredibly agile, just generally. She's got Akira Silky's powers, so it's not as much of an issue for her. But what we do see is a really cool scene. It's a really cool scene. I haven't seen that comic, actually. I'd like to. Yeah, it will be heartbreaking when it happens, guys. Like, don't get it twisted. It's going to be horrible for Gigi as well. It's going to be sad. Like, I feel like there might be like some kind of rift in the group as a consequence of it. Like, surely it must be, right? But I mean, it's bound to happen eventually. Like, it's the natural conclusion. But we'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. Like, anyway, so we see these really cool panels. We see these really cool panels of Okurun also dodging knives, and like he's just going for it. Like, it's so strange because just before this, I went and I looked at some of the early stuff, and I did this as well for that last video that went up last week, the Evil Eye arc. I saw, I looked at where Okurun essentially was at the beginning, and he is just like this tiny little skinny guy, and now he's jacked. Guy's jacked, and he's dodging these knives. He's moving really quickly, and he's jumping over them, almost on par with Ida, and she's in her yokai form. Yeah, I don't know. Tell me about it. To be honest, there's an incredible fan community here. Like, there's been some strange stuff, mainly on Twitter, X, whatever, at times, but the majority of the community is great, and they really put out some incredible stuff as well, right? But yeah, it's needed more now more than ever, because we're in a hiatus, right? Anyway, the dodging stuff, and Ida and Momo are incredibly surprised by his physical fitness level, which Momo points out to him, and he says it isn't the time for that. It just is what it is. He's gone good. Guy's gotten good. But regardless, he can't keep it up forever, as he lands on the ground, and says that he is eventually going to get slashed. Like, he is, right? Like, all it takes is one knife, and then the pygmies sew his hand to the floor, which must hurt a lot, to be honest, but it means that he can't move. And the same thing with Ira as well. Her hands are also sewed to the ground, which puts them in a predicament, because they're directly within the line of fire of numerous pygmy artilleries, right? So, not good. And they've also got the stoves on and the gas and everything, with Ida's hair tied up around it. So they're in a very precarious position, because that could explode. And as the knives point at them and they're stuck, Momo finds the girl. She finds the girl, and she's hidden away. And just like that, Momo then gets the stove and throws the whole thing towards where the girl is hidden, and it smacks straight into her. And they have her cornered. Momo says that she found her, calls her a dumbass, and that's just Momo, right? Like that's how she talks. It's fantastic. And then Ira says the honorable ninja art of hiding from sight. You don't expect that she'd speak like that, considering she was popular. Like, she was a really popular girl, right? Like, you just don't think that she'd talk like that, but she's a strange individual. She's one of the strangest. They're all strange. Like, don't get me wrong. Everybody in this group are so strange. It's hot, like, just in different ways, I suppose. Anyway, she was hidden behind a curtain stitched together by the pygmies, and that made her invisible to everyone. And Momo lifts up a fire extinguisher, says commence the firefighting, and she just throws it and blasts her, rather. And they win. The pygmies detach the sewing materials from Okurun's hand, and they're able to move again. Because now she can't control the pygmies, right? Like, they weren't naturally just doing that because they're violent or anything. It's because she was essentially their general, and then they surrender, waving the white flag. And they accept defeat. They speak their own language, clearly, because Momo can't understand what they're saying, but, it's over. And Okurun points out that it's unsettling not being able to see the enemy. And I am curious about what that's about, right? Like, not being able to see them at all, because it's clearly not like a spiritual power thing, because these guys have the ability to see yokai, and they get pulled into the dark space and stuff. So it may, I don't know, it's strange. But anyway, Ida and Okurun both have little things on their back, I guess little stabby bits from where they got hurt. And Ida pokes Okurun's back, his bare back, and then has a good laugh at the fact that she scared him. And she starts kind of like doing her cutesy thing where she's trying to appease him and tell him not to be angry, partially just as an excuse to get close and stuff. But obviously, like I said, we're in a spot now. We're in a spot now where the confession has happened. Okurun and Momo have announced how they feel to each other. Well, he has announced how he feels to her, rather. Let's not get that twisted. And Momo, in a few chapters ago, said to Okurun not to cheat on her, despite the fact that she hasn't confessed how she feels to him. It's such a strange place to be in. There's an exclusivity between them, or the idea that they're on the verge of being official. And I think that is why it's written to be for these things from Ida and Gigi to just come back up, like when Gigi said that Momo is precious to him. And sorry, 1 second, guys. And as a consequence of that, I think that they're being written back into the story like that. However, Momo has some degree of it's not just jealousy, right? It's not just jealousy, but like almost like this idea that they're partially exclusive, because she tells Ida to back off. And it's really funny, actually. I don't know if all you guys are actually looking at the panels right now, but they keep changing the size that Momo is, or the art for how she looks. Like in that, it's just a huge speech bubble shooting away from this tiny little person in the corner of the panel, and it's just so like low detail, but I love it. It's fantastic. It's complicated is a good way of putting it, Randy. You're right. It's a matter of time, and I don't think that these are feelings that change like the wind, right? Like for Gigi, for Ida, it's pretty much it's over, I think. Like, I mean, there was never really a question in my mind anyway. I don't think that they were written to be genuine competitors. I think they were just written into the story initially anyway, and their romance definitely was to push the two, Okurun and Momo, to confront certain parts of themselves and accept their own feelings, that kind of thing. But now it's gotten to the point where I think that they're both on the verge of being a thing. So it's not really, in my opinion at this point, it's just a matter of time before they both it's Jova, exactly. Yeah, that's perfect, Danny. I'm sorry, but it's Jova, guys. It's just a matter of time. And again, I think that we're really about to see this in the next few chapters, which is why the hiatus is killing me, because they keep bringing it back up to the forefront. It's not really been in the forefront for quite a few arcs now. At least I don't feel like it has. Anyway, Momo asks the Pygmies why did they attack the gang. And then she realizes that they've created a tiny little stretcher almost out of their bodies, and they're carrying her away, trying to escape with the girl who's currently incapacitated. Okurun blasts off after her, and Momo's just running alongside the tiny little pygmies. And Ida turns into her Acro Silky form and tries to catch her. And they are just like, they've turned into like a cloud of pygmies. It's crazy. Yeah, he's drawing it out for sure. This is a slow burn, guys, you know? It is what it is. It's part of what I love about it. You know, sometimes I'm sorry if I keep going off on tangents here, right? But sometimes I do miss the earlier stuff. I love this in its own way, but I do miss some of the earlier stuff where it was really figuring things out, like from like the first kind of nuggets of feelings. I really enjoyed that stuff, and this is so much more comfortable in a way, right? Like there's a security here. Like, I'm not worried that the two of them aren't going to get to the point where they do this. At this point, they're both locked in. It's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. I'm just sat here like, guys, talk. Just can you guys just talk, please? But there's always something in the way. And it's, oh my god. Like, she's tiny. She's in a board game. She's tiny now. Like, there are these things that just stop them. And that's it. That's all there is to it. It's not like, oh, we don't know how we feel. They both know how they feel. It's just one of them is this big now. That's it. I think that's. I don't think that they do that to us, right? Like, I don't think Tatsu would do that kind of the series ends with it kind of thing, because that would be devastating. I want to see it kind of mature a bit. Right, like once they're together, I want them to kind of, you know, it doesn't end there. It takes its time to become, to feel out exactly what that dynamic is going to look like. They need to be each other's, you know, first dates, that kind of thing, first kiss. Although Vamola, I don't know if it depends if you count the court when they knock teeth. I guess it depends if you count that in the as a kiss, right? But I don't know. I enjoy, like, I enjoy the amount of suffering that it brings into my life, if that makes sense. It really kind of like gives me a reason to be really invested. So yeah, you know, this is the thing. I don't think that we're close to being finished yet. Like, maybe we are around the halfway point, maybe, but we've got so many plot threads still, like the Subterraneans. You know, there's Raiko Kashima, there's the Subterraneans, there's the Kerr, although we're getting a bit more of that now, and then there's obviously the current arc. So I don't know, I hope that we're not near the end. You know, like, because there's so much more to do, and I do hope that we've kind of figured out a cast now. I hope that every arc isn't just getting more and more characters still, because I feel like we've kind of reached capacity, because it does feel like at times Rin kind of is just there. Yeah, I mean, and then obviously Okurun's family is going to be a thing. Like, I genuinely believe that is definitely going to be a thing, just purely based on the fact that we've seen something from everyone and not him, and he's had no friends. It's like, where are the parents? Like, where are his parents at all? But hey, you know, we'll see, right? Anyway, yeah, no, look, guys, I hear you. The Subterraneans will come back, right? Like, one of the Kerr being still left on Earth has come back, so you know, I can't see that not also being a thing. Um, yeah. Anyway, we see them chasing after the girl, and you know, it's like they think that that she's able to control them despite the fact that she's unconscious. So it's kind of weird that they're still moving. And Ida is getting tickled by the pygmies, and it forces her out of her yokai form as Momo tries to tear them off of her. And Okurun is also getting tickled by them as well. It's ridiculous. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I just miss Turbo Granny, guys. Like I'm I don't know. But I do think Momo's power is going to be a huge driving factor. I mean, we'll get to that later on. Hopefully that we don't need to go into a part 3 with this. The amount that I keep stopping. But you know, maybe it's not impossible. Anyway, so they start chasing her, and the pygmies carry her out of the room. And then back in the normal world, we can see Gigi, Vamola, and Kinta in the hallway, just kind of hanging about. And they don't know what to do because break time's going to be over soon. And Kinta's back there. His brain is working on it at super high speed right now. You know, I oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, look, we're gonna need to figure out something for next week, regardless, right? Like, assuming that everybody's still, you know, we're all still wanting to just do these weekly. You know, until the manga's back, we're gonna need to figure something out to fit into this slot. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But hey, depending on how long we keep going, it could end up in part 3. But anyway, we see them in the hall, and Kinta's brain is working at super high speed right now. I keep going back and forth about Kinta, right? I really want to give the guy his due. I do. I don't want to be judgmental, but he can be exhausting. He's fine here, but he can be exhausting at times. Like, I can understand why some people don't like him. But I did feel sorry for him when we found out his backstory about like playing with toys and stuff, right? You know, guy just likes what he likes, and that's fine. Anyway, he says that Private First Class Takakura and the others are likely trapped in empty space. And Gigi wonders why it is that they weren't allowed to go in, and whether or not there's a max number of people allowed in. Yeah, and then he also points out that that Vamola pulled them into empty space when she turned into a kaiju. So it couldn't have been a limit on the amount of people. Vamola can now talk, by the way. I know it's Japanese, not English, but she can just talk in full sentences now. She highlights there, she doesn't really know how the suit works fully, but she is able to pull people into the blank space, empty space, which she does. And that's great, actually. I think this is going to be important because we've had no way for the gang to be able to control when they do or do not end up in empty space. They just get pulled there by aliens. Now they've got this piece of alien tech. They're actually able to control that, at least a little bit, which I think is going to be really important going forward. So there's a little bit of control rather than just being pulled into it at a whim. There's maybe the ability to counteract that a little bit here. Anyway, so they go to empty space, and they see the girl being dragged along the roof, and it's very confusing. I would be confused as well by the pygmies, and they're pretty shocked, especially Kinta. And just as they're looking at the roof at this girl being dragged along by tiny little creatures, Okurun headbutts his way. He headbutts his way through the door, and Ida does her kick and lands on Vamola's kaiju face. Like even now, right? Like that's Okurun's solution to every single conflict, is to just slam his head against it, to just dive head first into it. A nice metaphor for the kind of guy that he is, for sure. But also, you know, he doesn't have Turbo Granny's abilities anymore. You know, he's probably going to have to adapt at least a little bit to being a somewhat normal guy. So Ida and Okurun are convulsing on the floor, getting tickled. Gigi says a very strange line. Quite a strange line, but hey. Okay. And Momo is shocked and surprised that they're all there. And Gigi looks down and sees that she is chasing the pygmies. And Gigi asks why are Okurun and Ida naked and laughing. And, you know, this happens too frequently to these guys. But she says, never mind it, and to chase the girl. And so they go. He is doing his jumping into the bushes move for sure. That is his special move, to be fair, is a big long headbutt. Anyway. So Gigi says that he's subbing in for Okurun and Ida, and off they go. He picks up Momo into his palm and gets chasing. It's his signature move. That's it. Kinta does some he starts talking about his power, and starts chasing as well. And Ida and Okurun are just kind of on the floor. They've basically been tagged out for this point. Gotta do what works. You've got to do what works. Exactly. Anyway, they're chasing the girl, and they're going for it, right? And they're going pretty fast as well. Like, Gigi is a fast guy. You know, he's an athlete. He's a prodigy. That's his whole thing. And Momo points this out and says that if he can't catch the girl, then nobody can. And then Kinta pulls out a fragment of the nanoskin from the house, and he turns it into like a hoverboard. He just has that all the time now, which does make him quite useful, to be fair. That is a very useful thing to have on you at all times, right? So he's making himself useful, and he chases after her on his hoverboard, and everyone's pretty amazed at it. And then then Kinta essentially starts saying that the ladies should accept their love for him. You know, okay, you know, he's doing his thing. Talking about his majestic form, and starts thinking about Vamola, Momo, and Ida, telling him that they love him. And then as he turns a corner, he gets smacked in the face by the nurse. And this is the first time that we've really properly had anything to do with the nurse since the end of the Serpo arc, where she was introduced, which is crazy. Like, that's crazy. It's been like, what, 150 chapters since then. So Kinta's dead. Like, she walloped him, right? Like, she basically took his head off with that move. Yeah, so he's knocked out on the floor, and then Gigi and Vamola, who is still in her kaiju form. I can't get over that. Like, because she's such a small person. She's tiny and skinny. So when you see her running around in this like Godzilla, essentially Godzilla form, and it's just ridiculous. It's always got this really static expression as well. So I don't know, it's just great. And then she asks them whether or not they're bullying the girl, and she calls them boldies. That's another thing in this as well, is you see a lot of people calling people boldies as an insult, which is interesting because none of them are bold. I don't know if that's a translation thing or whether it's just like a thing for Dandadan, but apparently calling someone a boldy is they'll do. I'm glad that you're enjoying it, Sarah. Yeah, I'm still trying to get into an exact rhythm of what these streams are gonna do. This is like literally just the second stream I've ever done for anyone that isn't just my friend, like streaming a game to them. So yeah, I'm glad that I hope that everybody's enjoying themselves. I'm enjoying myself. Like I get to talk about Dandadan, so that's that's enough for me, right? I mean, to be honest, like basically the whole channel is just Dandadan at this point, which is like not a bad thing. I love this series. It's fantastic. Yes. Anyway, so she stood in the way, stopping them, and it's worth noting here that Queen Sensei, the doctor, the school nurse, is in the empty space here, right? Like she is capable of coming into the empty space, and Momo points that out, and they're worried that she might be an enemy. So it's pretty unclear at this point exactly what the situation is with her, because as far as we're like, what's crazy about this? Excuse me. Sorry. What's crazy about this arc? What's crazy about this whole arc is that it feels like they're it feels like a kind of departure from previous arcs, if that makes sense. Like everything else has felt very focused on getting something done, or there being a very specific mission or objective, whereas we're getting lots of little threads right now, just all being pulled together by, and a lot of literal cloaks and daggers, right? The little knives and the girl was hidden behind a cloak. So we're actually getting full-on cloaks and daggers. Who knows what's happening where, and it's all pulling these threads and piecing things together. It's kind of like a detective thing in some cases. So yeah, I think that they're expanding the lore quite a lot here as well. So it is interesting to see where we're going right now with the series, which is why I'm so keen to get through these weeks so we can get back to it, right? Anyway, the girl points out that the gang are the ones that hit her, so she's essentially snitching and trying to make her think that they were essentially bullying her for some reason. And so Momo and Gigi are pretty much trying to make a case for themselves and say that they didn't attack her. Queen Sensei says that it's unforgivable, and whoever did it is to step forward, because she has a zero tolerance for cowards who bully others, which is a great policy to have. Generally speaking, that's awesome. And she means it as well, which is pretty cool, because, and this is consistent with her back in the Serpo arc, right? Because she was all, her thing was basically asking the gang whether or not they were getting bullied, and that's why they were naked in the hallway. Yeah, it's kind of similar to this actually in a lot of ways. And Gigi says that she is the one that assaulted them first, and then it becomes a game of he said, she said. And Queen Sensei has a lot of doubt regarding his story, because what are the odds that that girl would bully a big guy, strong guy like Gigi? Bullying is bad. Welcome, Orbis. I said it on message, but I appreciate you becoming the first member. That's amazing. Thank you. It's just to clarify the whole membership thing, guys. It will always be purely optional stuff. I've no interest in locking anything away or making the videos, like, honestly, like the videos that are being made take so much time to do, like hours and hours and hours, and pretty much every minute that I'm not working or having a bit of a rest goes into the videos. So don't worry, there's not going to be like a exclusive video thing tucked away. Like maybe one day we do like Q&A stuff if we ever got enough to justify doing something like that. But right now it's purely just incredibly humbling and kind to see anybody would be interested in that at all. That blows my mind. Like, so thank you for being here. Thank you anybody that would even want to sign up to anything at all. Orbis, thank you. So anybody that would do that, also thank you, but it's not necessary. It's optional. It's just yeah. And look, and when if we do get 5 members at some point, I'll be able to make more emojis. I might swap some out like every now and then just to see. But anyway, don't want to drag. But everybody here, thank you. Incredible. You're all incredible. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So she is essentially in doubt that she would ever see a small girl. I'm glad that you like the emojis, Orbis. That a young girl would ever attack a big athlete like Gigi, and you know, I can see her point. And then she's calling him a pervert and everything like that, and Queen Sensei says that he is talking nonsense. And she says that she judges a person based on whether or not what they're saying makes sense or not. And, you know, it doesn't make sense, I suppose, from her perspective. And Gigi points out that he's no good in an argument and that he wants Momo to help him. Thank you. I appreciate that, Omen. I don't know that I've seen you here before, but I appreciate you joining. Thank you. Honestly, anybody who wants to comment, please do. Like, it's great to engage with everybody. I do believe I've seen you actually, Omen, on one of the previous pieces of content, so thank you. Anyway, Momo tells Gigi to calm down, and then she says that he's a good person and that he doesn't need to fake it. So he doesn't need to pretend to be a good person because he is one, and he is a good person. I think that maybe he takes that the wrong way a little. I mean, there's not a wrong way. He is a good person, and they're friends, right? It's just that for him, the line there is pretty muddy, I think. Which is, it's fine. That's fine. That's totally fine. Momo turns to him and says, whatever it is that he's thinking, just be direct about it and to communicate it, and don't dance around it. Which is a little... I mean, it's obviously written to be Momo being the one saying that for a reason. That is what she needs to do. And she hasn't done it yet. And that's what Raiko Kashima told her to do. Is to just be direct and communicate how she feels. Like, in telling Gigi this, it's like she's still... You can see where her head is at. And you can see what she's trying to wrestle with in her own mind. Is that she needs to also be direct and communicate how she feels. It's likely what it is that she's thinking about. All, like, at least partially in the back of her head. And at the very least, there is definitely a dramatic irony to this. Quite right, Randy. Insofar as Tatsu is making Momo be the one to say that. For a good reason. And this gives me a lot of hope and a lot of faith that we're going to see this happen very soon. Yeah, tell me about it. I don't think she realizes exactly what it is that there's a minor hypocrisy to what she's saying. But hey, you know, she means well, right? And she's right about it to an extent. He does need to just communicate it. But, you know, I think because we keep following these threads, we're going to reach pretty soon a conclusion. And then Vamola tells tells Queen Sensei that Gigi didn't hit her and that it was Momo who was attacked. Queen Sensei asks whether or not her outfit is a joke. And yeah, I mean, she's dressed like a kaiju, to be fair, so it's not looking good for them. She can't see her, essentially. Queen Sensei can't see Momo because she's too small. And Momo then laments the idea that Ida isn't there because she'd say it how it is, and she would. You know, Ida would not. Well, yeah, you know how Ida is, right? Like, and it's great as well to see Momo be so okay, like, with Ida. I feel like they're just mates at this point. Like, it's like when they beat the kaiju for the first time, and they kind of linked up and said that they were the ones that beat Vamola, not Okurun. I just love the fact that they went from hating each other and being complete rivals to being essentially best friends. And then we see the line that got a lot of people a little bit upset. Gigi says that a woman that was precious to him was hurt. He's referring to Momo, obviously, and she turns around and she's shocked. I mean, he's saying it like it is, right? Like, she is precious to him. I think some people kind of cope a bit, like huff the copium with this a little, and kind of rationalize this as, oh well, he just means that as like a friend or something. But come on, guys, I think that would undercut the meaning, right? The purpose of it. You think about, like, Tatsu writing this, the characters saying this, it's supposed to evoke what it is that it clearly is trying to evoke, at least in my opinion, which is that he's being upfront and honest, you know? Like, Gigi is the kind of guy who shies away from being really, really honest with his feelings, just because he'd prefer to joke around all the time. And this is pretty much the through line of a huge portion of the analysis video that I did on Gigi, is that a major through line with the guy is that he is a joker so that he doesn't have to reveal his feelings. And Momo telling him essentially to just be upfront about what it is that he feels. This is his way of almost saying it, right? Like, and he, at least in his mind, thinks that her saying that is almost like her asking him to just be honest about his feelings. And in a way, you got to give the guy props as well. He doesn't know. Again, another thing to remember is I remember I watched I don't remember what the video was, but I watched another video from on YouTube about Gigi and Okurun, and I saw that one of the main through lines there was that Gigi is in some way betraying Okurun, or I don't know how to say it, like kind of trying to undercut him, I guess, cut him out of the picture, go behind his back. I don't think that Gigi's a two-faced kind of guy, and it's also really important that to remember that we see, us, the reader, the audience, we see all these moments that Okurun and Momo have together. We see them all, and they mean a lot to us because we're there for them. And Okurun and Momo are there for them. Gigi's never there for them. Ida's never there for them, because if they were, they would have seen it firsthand, and there wouldn't be a question anymore, in my opinion. So I don't think that there's anything wrong with this. Like, he's being honest about how he feels, and I think that deserves props, and I feel bad for him because we know that it's never going to go anywhere, because it's clear that she and Okurun are basically like 99% a couple at this point. Exactly. Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying, Omen. Yeah. Gigi and Okrun are like best friends. Like they've gone out of each other's way for each other multiple times. And he knows that Okrun likes Momo, because that's the whole point of that football game that they had. But he doesn't know the levels, and he doesn't know that she likes him back. At least that's my perspective. And he says that he's not lying, and he's never going to forgive the one who hurt her. Like I said, I think that's pretty cut and dry. And yeah, so he just kind of stares down Queen Sensei, who looks at him and stares him down, and he essentially says that he wants to ask the girl, why would she do such a thing? You know, honestly, I hope Gigi and anyone, and Ida and anyone find something that's good. I think one of the only like this story is mainly Okrun and Momo's love story, and we've not really seen much outside of that. So it would be nice to see some of the side cast get a little bit of, you know, a little bit of a relationship going in some capacity with someone. Right, let me have a look at these comments a little. I apologize if I'm not reading the comments as frequently as I should be. I'm just you know, so I apologize if the interactivity is dropping at all. Yeah, that's a good point as well, Danny. You know, like Okrun and Momo can't even categorize it themselves, so how can you expect people who aren't there to do it either? It's confusing, and I think that's what's so great about it, is this confusion doesn't feel tacked on. It doesn't feel like forced. It's just like, you know, there's so many stories and things where everything would just be solved if they just spoke about it, but it all, that's usually a really cheap beat, I feel. It usually just gives people an excuse to continue drama. But here, because it's not that they aren't speaking about it necessarily, it's just that they don't understand them enough to even know how to approach the topic. How do you, at that age, with no real clear parental guidance, and also struggling with people in the real world just generally, I think that it can be difficult to approach it, especially if this is your closest friend and you've gone through such crazy times together. When does it become more than friendship? Like, it's not like there's a stop point friendship, start point romance. It blends, and one is entwined with the other. It's so difficult to know one way or the other. So talking about it must be terrifying for them. You know what I mean? So yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a good point as well, Sarah. Momo is a character, guys. Like I know that you guys get it, but this is the problem with these kind of like, oh, Gigi's trying to steal Momo, or that he's betraying Okrun. Like, Momo is as much the main character as Okrun is, and she can make decisions. If she wants Okrun, if she wants Gigi, then she can choose. The fact that they are pursuing her at all, and not really even that actively, like, Gigi's not making her uncomfortable, really. He's just saying that she's precious to him. He's being honest, like she asked him to be. And if she wanted that, then she would make it clear that that's what she wants. But it's not. And she's enough of a character. She's enough of a character to know how to make a decision. And she has that agency to do so. And that's what's so great about her. Because so many other anime just treat the female characters as someone who's destined to fall in love with the protagonist or something. Like, Momo's love is not just born of pure idealizing the main character. It's born of a really deep friendship and trust, and I think that's wonderful, and that's it. Yeah, I do think in the long run, GG, like Nachan, I think that in the long run, GG will get it, you know? And I agree, like, you can't judge Okurun's relationship with, you can't judge GG for not knowing, right? It's not his fault, poor guy. Yeah, no, I make a point of calling it football. It's soccer, just doesn't sound right to say. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I mean, and I also think that Vamola isn't really interested in Okurun at this point either. I think that was purely she misunderstood what it was that it was to fall in love. You know, like she's lost. Vamola's lost, and that's another plot thread, guys. Actually, is Vamola's grandma. That's another plot thread that needs to be looked at some point. So more and more plot threads. That it just means that the series has to run on for a long time to come, if that's the case, right? If there's so many things that have still not been tied up. Yeah, I don't think Rin has romantic feelings for Okurun either. And I don't think Kinta necessarily has any clear feelings for like Momo or Ida. I think he just likes girls that are attractive. Like, I think he likes Vamola a lot though, because she's an alien and stuff. You know how it is. Yeah, I do think that as well, Omen. I think that they're scared that one might damage the other, especially Okurun, right? It's a scary thing. But I think that they're getting to a point now where they're mature enough and they know each other well enough to know that they aren't just going to drop the other if it's not right, right? And I think that they know that it's right, to be honest. It's so good. Oh my god, it's so good. Like, it's just brilliant, really. I can't really express it any better than that. I'm so invested in it that it's ridiculous. Yeah, she has. You're right, Sarah. Like, they have a very unique relationship outside of just antagonizing each other. It's like that is there. That's in it. Like, that's her personality partially, but it's softer in ways that she isn't with anyone else. And I think that's it, right? Like, something that, like, in and you see stuff like this in like Evangelion, right? But you see people stories or the idea that everybody has different faces that they wear to different people, and the intimacy that Momo and Okurun have for each other is a face that they don't wear to anyone else, right? That's a part of their self that only they see, and I have no reason to believe that that's something that they would do lightly, right? And that's what's so nice about it, is that they develop these sides to themselves together, and they fit like a jigsaw puzzle because of that, and it's great. It's just so good. Yeah, I do think that we're about to hit a point where the confessions are going to start happening. Okay, guys, I'm going to get back to this because we might need to do a part 3. I'm going to be honest, because this has taken longer than I thought it would to get not as far as I thought we would. But that's fine. We haven't even got to the psycho stuff yet, so that's crazy. But if you guys want to do that, let me know. I think we can keep going for like a bit longer anyway. But if you guys want to do a part 3, then that works with me. Like, honestly, this is the kind of stuff that's like, it's really, I feel a lot more relaxed this time compared to last time. I was quite nervous. I'm a bit nervous now, but like, you know, but this is the kind of stuff that doesn't slow down the production of the other content. I've taken a few days to relax because that last Evil Arc video took so much time to do. Oh, guys, thank you. I appreciate that. As long as you're all here, I will be here as well. Like, honestly, it's my pleasure. Like, honestly, it really is. If you guys are willing, yeah. Well, what I'm thinking is the next video will probably be a slightly more analysis-based one, like character analysis. I did do that poll, and I've got a few good ideas for the Okarun one. I don't want to just break it down in like the GG analysis video was a bit kind of it was kind of latched onto the idea that he's a controversial figure for a lot of people, and I've got a few good framing devices for the Okarun one that I think could be really interesting. An interesting way to look at him, which isn't just reciting all the other stuff that I've spoke about ad nauseum. But when that one's done, which should be in early February, the next video after that will be the Kaiju arc for sure. And then it would be another analysis, character analysis, or something like that. And then after that would be another arc video. And then maybe eventually one of these character analysis videos might get swapped out for something that's maybe focused on a different topic. I love Dandadan. All of these arcs are going to get done. I'm going to do every character. Generally speaking, I'm going to get through to all the main characters. But, you know, just to kind of like see what else we can kind of blend into if we can. But yeah, the Dandadan stuff is not going to slow down at any point. At least for me, because like this series is I've only really been in on it since the anime came out, but it's very meaningful to me, and it's basically boosted my channel to a point where people are actually here and paying attention to it, and I can have a little community, and to me that's huge. So it holds a very special place for me. The space globalist arc, guys, I'm terrified. I'm terrified to do, because it's easily going to be at least 3 hours long. It could be that I just work on that for a whole month, and then just miss one of the analysis videos and get like a 3.5 hour monster out. That could be the solution, because that one's gonna be a lot, and I want to get it right, you know, because there's so many good bits. You know, funnily enough, I'm really excited to do the Dan Manra arc. I feel like there's so much in that I want to do, that I'm looking forward to, and it gets a lot of flack from some people that arc, just because Okarun and Momo aren't together. But whenever they're not together, it's like they're separated in this way where it's not like in the Space Globalist arc where they're separated just because Okarun's hurt, because the world's ending. There's this constant like frenzy. The Dan Manra arc is so much more, they're split by Okarun making the decision to not go in after her, and he has to make that choice. It makes it more personal. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I'm going off key. I'm spoiling it. Right, these are just like loose thoughts that I'm throwing out into the wind. A premiere for a 3-hour video. Whew. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. That's a long time. That's a long time. I don't know. I'll see. Thanks. I'll try not to overwork myself for sure. Like honestly, the part of this is like this feels like I really am enjoying being able to get something out there that it's like getting a bit of me and putting it into some kind of digitized form, and then just having people connect with it is, it's incredible. It's really incredible. The fact that anybody watches this stuff is incredible. Oh, Wow. Oh my god, guys. Whoa. Whoa. Thank you, Randy. That is incredible. Wow. Oh my god. What does that even mean? Like, oh my god. You guys are incredible. Like, honestly, this community, I know that we're small. There's just a few of us at this point. Thank you. That is incredible. Wow, guys. I can't even. I don't know how to react to that. Oh my god. Thank you. I can make more emojis now, guys. So I will do that. When tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll make a few more emojis. Yeah. Wow. Sorry. That's you just blew my mind with that. Thank you. Hey, look. You know. This community is really, really small, and I know that there's a few of us here, but it's crazy. It's incredible. Like, honestly, like I was all day I was setting up. Like, you should see this. I got a better camera, as you probably can see, because the last one was like here, and you know, my lighting setup behind here is a nightmare. Like, it's all nuts and bolts. Honestly. But it's wonderful. It really is. So I'm gonna keep making stuff is what I'm trying to say. And I'm glad that you guys are here for that. Okay. All right. I'm gonna move on. Get emotional. Anyway. I do think we'll have to do a part 3 for this, and that's great because we need to cope. We need to cope over the next 3 weeks. So the girl essentially screams and says that they're all lying and that everybody ganged up on her when she was alone and attacked her. And she tells Queen Sensei to punish them all and make them accept their defeat. Important phrasing there, by the way. You know, because whatever it is that, when it comes to stealing people's powers, it's clear that in order to do that, the person with the powers needs to accept their defeat and surrender, essentially. Which is interesting. Which is I know, guys, the manga, the whole point we're here, is interesting because I do feel like we're going to get into this situation, and if I were to put money on it, on what is going to happen, I suspect that Okurun is going to be essentially caught, and that Momo, they'll want Momo to surrender her powers to save him and accept defeat to save him, and she'll probably do it and admit how she feels. Like, that would probably be my situation if it, obviously she'll get them back somehow, and everybody will be able to figure it out, but you know, we need to get into a situation where it's Momo's turn to stand up and say what she feels, and I think that a lot of the time when we talk about Dandadan, people kind of like, I've said it before in some of the videos, right? But the big in-fight moments are what push the relationship boundaries and expand them. And then when they're not in that fight situation anymore, that's when they slowly kind of build back up to where they are. But the boundaries have been pushed, and it's like they held hands in the Cursed House arc for the first time. And it was a big moment, a huge moment where they held hands and it meant something in a life or death situation. And then after that, they know what that's like. And there was a desire to reestablish that connection. And that's what they did in a quiet, kind of more relaxed setting, and in a lot of ways more meaningful because of the fact that it's so muted, right? And I suspect that that's something else that we're going to see here, is that this, you know, well, I mean, Okarun confessing and then also wanting to bring it up in the library. It's pushing the boundaries in the life or death situation, and then trying to re-establish that in a that situation. And I suspect that Momo's going to have to be put into one of those situations. And I think that this, like, the fact that people have to accept defeat has to be used, or they wouldn't keep bringing it up from a writing perspective, I think. So I feel like if I were to guess, I suspect that that's the situation that we're going to be in. That she's going to try. That she's going to sacrifice her powers and admit how she feels about Okarun, only to be maybe saved at the last minute, or to get her powers back somehow. Because I do think Momo's powers are very special. There's something special about it. The fact she can control people's auras is special. And the fact that she can see people's backstories through their auras also must be special. There's something about her that is incredibly, incredibly special. And I do think that there's a chance that Turbo Granny could try to give up her aura as well, but I don't think that they'd kill off Turbo Granny, because they'd probably sell too many plushies for her. That's probably what it is. So she probably end up fine somehow. This is like, I don't really, romance is one of those genres that I never really felt like, because I always felt that romance was tied into so many other things that it was hard to just go, oh, I'll just sit down and read a romance or something. And in a way, this isn't a romance, but it is mainly a romance, right? It's like the romance is the main part. In a lot of ways, all the fighting is like a loading screen in between that stuff. I don't know. Like, we'll see, right? Anyway. Also at the beginning, she had like lots of green, like flowing stuff when she first awoken to her powers. I think that's her real powers. Like, that's her full 100% power up. Because in the Space Globalist arc, the ends of her hair turned like light and green when she was really, really angry. And protecting the molar. Anyway, back to the manga, like the thing that anyway, Queen Sensei asks the girl to show her injuries, and then she looks and says that something's odd, and she mentioned that she said that she didn't know the boy. And then she says she caught her out in a lie, essentially, and says that he's so scary she wishes she could forget him, and it doesn't make sense, right? So she tells the Queen Sensei to deal with them, and she says that the girl essentially indicated that a bunch of them ganged up on her when she was alone, which is odd because it looks like you have far greater numbers on your side. So she can see the pygmies. Like, somehow she can see the pygmies. I don't know what the deal with her is, but she's got powers. And everybody's shocked. Momo's especially shocked. And Queen Sensei says that she sees students all the time talking about their insecurities and their anxieties, and there are also some that consult her about matters of spiritualism. And she listens. And she's gone to exercise. Like, she's a really good nurse. Like, honestly, she's a really good nurse. And at some point, she was able to start seeing spirits, apparently. I mean, the fact that there are so many teachers in the school that have abilities of some kind, whether that's just because they're being controlled or whatever, is, I don't know. But maybe she's telling the truth. I don't know. She doesn't seem like she's a harmful person, so I don't know if Okarun's balls have powers anymore. Like, he got them back. Maybe they're just normal now. I don't know. Yes, I think Psycho did say something like that. Yeah. She'll get there again one day. Like, that's how far we've got to go still. Momo's not even near to that point, so don't worry. I don't think the series is ending yet. Anyway, Gigi and Momo say that it's incredible that she can do that, and that's why she's in empty space as well. And she says that she'll be willing to hear out the girl, and because she's not making sense, she essentially is going to side with Gigi, which is great. And she asks her to be honest with her because she won't get angry, and if there is something really troubling her, then she just needs to talk about it and she'll listen. Like, she clearly cares about her students. And then the girl admits the truth, that she attacked Momo, and that she's sorry. And so Momo says that she's ready to hear her out, as why it is that she attacked her. And then Queen Sensei slaps her and launches her across the room. She said that she wouldn't get angry, and she calls them all boldies again, and says that she hates scoundrels who pretend to be weaklings. She's crazy. That lady's crazy. She's too much woman for me. I can't, you know. Yeah, I think that is it, Orbis, as well. You're right. I think that there is an element of I didn't see it coming. I didn't see. Oh, my cat is here. I apologize. Oh my god. Oh. Turbo Granny. She is a granny. She's like 15, so she's my Turbo Granny. But yeah, no. So I also agree. I think that there's a difference between going into something and not know, because I didn't know a thing about Dandadan when I started the first episode of the anime. I got through episode 1. However many episodes were released essentially on release date, and it was that moment. I think it was just the end of episode 1, actually. Yeah, Turbo Granny. It was the end of the first episode where the explosion happens behind Momo, and I was just like, I'm like, there's something about this that I can't explain. I just can't stop thinking about it. And I was a bit down at the time, so I was like, I'm just gonna read all of this in one go. I didn't. That wasn't the intention. I was just like, I'll just see the manga just because I really want to know what happens next. And I just read it all. I was sat there for like 6 or 7 hours. I just read all of it, and I was like, this was amazing. Like, it was incredible. And since then, it's just been ringing around in my head, and it was the romance element that dragged me into it. And I got to a point where I was like, I can't stop thinking about these two. I need to go and make something. I need to go and sacrifice my time on the altar of these two somehow. And that's why I made my first video and stuff about it. And it's, yeah, I don't know. It's really incredible. I wish I had found it sooner as well. Like, simultaneously though, I am so upset that I'm caught up in a way, because I miss being able to blow through it all. And I didn't have to wait weeks to find out what's next. But hey, at least we all get to spend time theorizing and going through it, right? So that's fun. So it's worth it, I guess. I'm looking forward to when we get back to the manga stuff, so that we like the actual manga's released again, so that we can all just jump on and discuss everything new that's happening. Because there was also like, I was about to say, I was about to say I also jump on the subreddit a bunch. That's how I started just obsessing over it. Is I would just jump onto the subreddit, and that's how I would. Whoa, Tim! Wow! Oh my days! Oh my god! Thank you. I don't know what to even say about that. That is incredible. Thank you. Wow. Oh my god. Oh my god. That is like more than That's more than a week of ad revenue. Oh my god. Thank you. Honestly, guys, you're all incredible. You are all just incredible. Even being here. I don't know if I can just gift memberships, but I like you deserve a membership. I don't know if it's something I can do, but I will see. Wow. Wow. Yeah. That put me in a pattern interrupt. That is incredible. Yeah, no, the subreddit is great. I love the subreddit. That is the place that I would go after every episode, every chapter. I'd go and I'd just immediately just jump on and start commenting and stuff like that. I think that this is nicer. Since we all got this, like, built this thing, I don't really go there as much, because if have time to do that, I have time to work on a video. But yeah, this is my main outlet now, and that's kind of why. Thank you, Tim. Like, you rock, honestly. That's why I really wanted to do these live streams, and even though I wasn't really comfortable at first doing it, I just wanted to kind of like be able to just talk about it rather than sitting and typing and hope that somebody upvotes what I'm saying. It's just I prefer this because it means that we can all just hang out. It's like hanging out, right? Yeah, and that's the main thing. You know, it's I occasionally will use Twitter, but it not really a lot. My Twitter is somewhere on the site, on my page, if you want to go there. But yeah, this is the best place for me. Yeah, look, I just honestly, Pickle, I just hope that it just doesn't end. It just keeps going forever. Like, you know, I just need to see it. I need it to happen. Anyway, the manga. We keep moving away from the manga, guys. So yeah, she sat there covered and surrounded by the pygmies, and she starts to explain that she posted pictures of herself online using a social media account, as we saw a few chapters ago, because she wanted to be seen, and it's really sad, actually. So it's hard to ignore her, really, or to dismiss her. And this is what Dandadan does, right? They introduce characters that you don't like, and then they give you a reason to understand them, and then they force you to like them. I mean, I already like her, so it's terrible. I don't even remember her name. Yeah, I just feel sorry for her. Like, Dandadan really does. It cares so deeply about the sidelined, right? Like people, the whole group in some way are outcast and sidelined and have every reason to be on the outskirts of society in some way. And I think that's what's so important about it. Even the yokai, right? Even the yokai are well, maybe actually we could do streams of the one-shots, actually. That's a good idea, Randy. Even the yokai are also representative of this exact same thing, right? Is people who are some way exploited or sidelined or forgotten, and the suffering of these people goes uncared about in some capacity. And that's really sad, to be honest. And by being together, they're able to form their own group. Yeah, and I think that's like an antidote to loneliness. And you see that first with Okarun and Momo and everybody else that gets dragged in. It becomes that. you know, and that's nice because a lot of the yokai were lonely, and they never found that, you know. You know, John, I agree. I don't want it to go on forever. Like, I want it to go on forever. I want it to go on forever just because I enjoy it so much, but all good things, right? And if it went on for 10 years, then it would be likely you've done everything. You've done every story that could be really told, as well as this, right? Like, you are going to start eating into the quality at a certain point. And I would rather have something that ends and is perfect forever than something that goes on forever and gets diluted over time. So you're fully right, but it gives me pain inside to think about it ending one day. So I'm just gonna bury that deep down, way down, you know. And she reveals that she had been told to stab Momo with the knife, and she can't remember who it was that told her to do it. She met them yesterday, but she's got no memory of it. Which sounds familiar, right, guys? You know? Again, cloaks and daggers. It's hard to know exactly what's happening, and this is what's so unique about this arc, is that it's not about an exact mission. It's figuring out what's even happening and who's after them. Like, that's what's great about it, and it's so much different from every other arc, and it's just fantastic. I don't want it to end too soon either. I want a few more years out of it, you know. I want like 2 to 3 more years out of it, and maybe even 4 or 5, and then I'll be good, you know. Like, I want it to be around for a while, and then we're good. I think as long as nothing's well, even that actually might be too long. I don't know. I didn't expect to ever find this, to be honest, but we'll see. We'll be doing this again in like another 2 years. We'll still be doing this in 2 years. Anyway, Ida starts to interrogate her and saying that that she's covering for them, but the girl says that she didn't, and she wanted to be free of them from the start. And then Momo, sat on Okurun's shoulders like this big, says that she heard something similar recently when she was in the cursed trunk, and that there was someone who aided Zuma. That gave him his the indication of where to go and stuff, but he couldn't remember anything about them, their face or their name. Yeah, so there's someone pulling the strings, basically, because it could be the same person, as Okurun rightly points out. And Ida says that, or asks, this person wanted to kill Momo. And then the girl says that it wasn't to kill her, it was to steal her powers. Right? So, oh, I'm really excited for season 2. I mean, to be honest, like when season 2 comes out, we're probably gonna, the streams are gonna have to be twice a week, right? Like, they're gonna have to be twice a week, because we're gonna have to do the Monday chapter, and then we're gonna have to do the episode, hopefully on a Thursday. Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense, right, guys? Because otherwise it'll be too much to cover. Oh yes, I'm so excited for the anime to be back. So excited. Yeah, he is still unconscious in the hall. Yeah, they just kind of forgot about him. Everybody's having a nice chat. He's just knocked out. I don't know about reaction stuff, just because it can be, I think it can be tricky for things like copyright and stuff. You know, like, I think that I don't want to push it with that. Like, it's part of why I don't just put it on screen while we're doing this now, is because of you know, I don't want people to ever feel like they could possibly use it as a proxy for experiencing it. I suppose. I don't know. I think probably just jumping on stream to have a chat with you guys about it would work for me. If you guys want to do that, that would work with me, because I enjoy this. This is lovely. This is brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, I know, it's killing me as well. It's a hell of a cliffhanger to leave on. So she asks about... So, yeah, everybody's shocked at the idea of her stealing her Momo's powers. And everybody's pretty surprised, Okurun especially, that not only that they can steal powers, but that they even know about them. But that's what she was told. That if she stabbed her with it, that she'd be able to steal her powers. But there are conditions to doing so. But she's, you know, a little stressed out in the moment. And Ida is fully interrogating her, right? Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that exactly. Yeah, honestly, I'm so excited for season 2, guys. Like, it's gonna be amazing. I just like bringing it back into my life also brings with it the fact that it will eventually leave. Like, I don't know. Anyway, so Ida explodes at her and basically says, "What are the conditions?" And don't beat around the bush with it. Just spit it out, right? And this is part of what this is a great moment on 2 counts because Ida is showing here not just that she's the leader, because she kind of is, right? Like, no one's really taken that mantle up except for her, but also that she cares so much about Momo that she'd be so vexed at the idea that somebody wanted to hurt her or steal her powers or whatever. She's really protective. She's so much different from, like, doing that Evil Eye arc video, and, you know, it's something that I tackle in it, is taking her from this point of not fully, like, having one foot in with the group and not being fully in, and accepting her role, or her friendships with them, is so different to where we are right now. And she's so protective and so engaged with the group and her friends. It's just, it's fantastic. Like, honestly, it's fantastic. It's just so good to see that, and it feels like a natural progression. It doesn't feel like, oh, she's a different character now. It's like every step has led to her being this person without changing her behaviors. She's still completely so aggravated all the time and agitated. It's amazing. Yeah, tell me about it. She's gonna drown in a hot spring till July, for real. That is crazy that they ended it there. It is wild that that's where they decided to finish the season. I guess they wanted to get it out, like, the really weird stuff out of the way, but I mean, you know, I've got a pit, like, doesn't matter, you know. She gets out of it. That's the main thing. But honestly, the anime is just a 10 out of 10. Absolutely love it. Like, there's some, like, the Cursed House arc is one of my favorites, and I can't wait to see the stuff in that animated, because it's just, and it's not even just that. We're going to see all of the Evil Eye arc as well, and a good portion, if not all, of the Kaiju arc. There's some amazing moments in there. Like, some of the best moments are in there. And that is, like, we are in for a hell of a July, guys. Like, for real. So excited. Anyway, she says that she can't remember what the conditions were, and Ida explodes at her again and is like, you know, can you expect any of us to really believe that? And the girl, the mystery girl, saying that she isn't lying. And there's a lot of suspicion. Momo's also basically saying that she must be an agent. But it is possible that the teacher did do something to her. and she asks her about her powers to control the little pygmies and whether or not she already had that. But then we learn from her that this power is something that the teacher forced on her. They gave it to her by stabbing her with one of the knives. Made a little cut on her, and then she was able to see the pygmies and control them. She clearly rejects the pygmies and slaps them away when they try to heal her up. And Momo says that it's mean that she's doing that because they've been protecting her. But the girl rejects the power that she's been given, and she doesn't like that they're always hanging around her. She doesn't want to see them, and she just wants her normal life back. And all that she did was mess up once, and she doesn't understand why any of this had to happen to her. Which is, yeah, I mean, it's sad, you know? Everybody in these series, they go through a lot, you know? And I think that everybody can relate to that in the group, right? I know, can you imagine the Evil Eye and Okrun fights? That's going to be wild. I've seen some of the fan edits for that stuff. It's like, some of the fans are doing some incredible stuff out there. Honestly, the animations and stuff. Yes, I think that's the one I'm referring to, Sarah. Incredible stuff. Yeah. I think that I don't know if it's just like a Netflix thing, because they did it with Squid Game, where it's like season 2 and season 3. I think what's being done now is where they previously would have half a season and then another half. For marketing purposes, they are splitting a season in 2 and then calling it season 1 and 2 because it's easier to market season 2. The second season is coming out in half a year. Normally we'd call this like the second cour, right? Like from what I understand about how Japanese seasons and stuff release. I suppose it doesn't really matter, but it just means that the time between season 1 and season 2 is half a year, whereas the time between season 2 and 3 is surely going to be a long time, like quite a long time, which I don't know. That makes me a little concerned that we're going to have to wait after season 2 for like a year and a half or 2 years. But I hope not. I hope not. Anyway. So Queen Sensei says that she remembers a student in the past who thought that they could see a little old man. And that they were scared and said that they wished that they couldn't see him anymore. And she did some investigating, and according to folklore, pygmies were originally people who were driven from the surface, the societally weak. They were people that had been forgotten by the world. Outcast. Socially outcast again. Like, it's, you know. The people quietly disappeared from the world and became pygmies. Their memories of who they were are gone, but the desire to have someone acknowledge their existence remains strong. So, they're just like her. And when they find someone who can see them, they gather around that person and do all they can to help them. And that it's good luck. Good luck will happen to you if you see one. And that the student who came to her for counseling is now searching for these little old men. You know, her whole life, she's never been really seen. You know? And they see her. And they know what it means to want to be seen. And they write her a little message telling her to hang in there. Like, it's just sweet, isn't it? Like, it's just really nice. Like, it's so hard, man. Like, I think that people being really lonely is, Tatsu must have dealt with some loneliness in his life, because he demonstrates it in a way that's so real, like so real. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to even you know, like everybody's been lonely. Some people have been more lonely than others, but it's not an easy thing to cope with. It's not an easy thing to deal with, and especially someone like her who's also at home, isn't even seen by her own parents. It's hard. So these little guys, these tiny little guys, are a blessing, right? In a way, you know, it's sad, but it is nice to see these kind of things, right? Oh my god, we've only done 2.5 chapters in nearly 2 hours. Oh my god, guys. Right, there's going to be a part 3. I'm going to have to think up a new thumbnail now, or at least a new color for the thumbnail, because because I just thought, oh, we'll get through this no problem in the next video. So I'll just change the colors and slap a part 2 on there. But here we are. Here we are, not even going to finish it. That's fine though. That gives us something to do next week. Yeah, I think that season 2 is going to cover all the Cursed House, Evil Eye, and then probably end on Vamola kissing Okurun. Because all like the kaiju suit is in the poster, so it's got to be in there. And you know, I know, guys. No such thing as a short conversation about this, is there? Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I'm happy to do a part 3 if you guys are. Yeah, this has been fun, but let's finish what we can before the we turn to the next hour. Right? Is the focus gone? There we go. Anyway, Momo brings the attention back to the Pygmies, and she's saying, you know, that means that you didn't create the Pygmies, to the girl, and that they've existed since olden times. I love that phrase, by the way, olden times. Like, huge fan of olden times. And yeah, that's essentially what she said. And she can understand them a bit. And Momo desperately inquires about whether they know how to turn someone back to normal, because she's obviously trying to get back to normal. She's still tiny. It's easy to forget that she's still tiny. But none of them know a thing about it, and then she collapses on Okurun's shoulder. It's really cute. She's tiny. She's this tiny little thing. I really enjoy the way that they've kind of like, that Tatsuo's drawn tiny Momo. Like, sometimes she's I just love the art in this series so much. I just love the art in this series. It's great. Yeah, Tim, for real. Like, last time we got through like a good portion of it, but I think that's because I was quite I was so unsure about how, like, what speed to go at, like how this live stream kind of thing was going to go for us. I just really am enjoying the interactivity between all of us. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I felt weird because the camera's here, but the chat is here. But I feel like, you know, I'm kind of like caught between the two. I'm just talking at like a screen, like I'm talking at text. I'm talking at a camera, and it's like, yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying it a lot, to be honest. It's so the first time I didn't really know what to do, so I was kind of moving at a random pace. I feel like this pace kind of works for me a bit. It means that we can go through this, but also nice and slow. It's kind of like a book reading club. Is that lame? Is that cool? Is that like in vogue? Yeah. Yeah, it does. That's it. Okay, awesome. I'm glad that that this is working for you guys. Let's just keep at it then. Let's keep at it and get back to just this again next Monday, and keep doing it. But anyway, we can still finish this chapter. And then Okarun assures her that they can look for another way, right? That's the kind of guy he is. He's not a problems guy. He's a solutions guy. And Ida, she's again always locked in at this point. She's looking at the knife and she's saying that she's curious about the owner of it, and does it steal the person's abilities and then grant them to somebody else as well? Good questions. And then Ida also indicates that it might not just be Momo's abilities that are stolen, but also theirs. And it's just like with the aliens before, the Kerr, because that is what they essentially would do, right? In order to extract their abilities. But what's more troubling is that it's people doing it this time. So the enemy is within. So, pretty spooky stuff. So Gigi asks her whether or not she knows anyone else that's been given a power just like her, and Ida says that there's no point asking her because she doesn't know. So she seems pretty convinced that she doesn't actually remember at this point. And Ida tells everybody to stick together as much as possible. She orders them to stick together as much as possible. She, again, like I said, she's in control of the situation. She's the leader at this point. It's great. And she also tactically says, let's not give the enemies any opportunities to exploit openings. And Gigi falls in line with a okie dokie hoo-ah. It's military. She runs it military, right? And so she asks what to do about the girl. And Momo says that they will keep an eye on her for now because the enemy's sure to contact her again. And that's when they'll pop out and nab him. And then Ida also says that she'll force them to delete her embarrassing underwear photos as well, which is nice, you know, quite right as well. And she thanks her. Ida asks her for a name. I'm Yukishiro, but that triggers something in Ida's memory. Oh yes, I remember this bit. From a few weeks ago. So Ida is basically, she has a history with her, and she remembers her from the junior piano competition. The youngest person to ever win the prize, and Yukishiro is surprised that she knew that, and then Ida has a little flashback because she lost to her in that competition. She was second place, and Kid Ida is, she's still locked in. She's furious that she came second, and she practiced half to death so that she could beat her the next time. And she worked really, really hard to become better, and the next time she won. And that's that image of her holding the trophy. That's like, I've seen that a lot. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Yeah, it's definitely going to be awkward with them dating. Yeah, I agree, Tim. It is a nice group. Like, and to be honest, like, it's hard to kind of to even express how positive this community is. I honestly, out of all the videos, like, the videos themselves have accumulated a few 100,000 views, mainly that first Momo and Okarun video, but like 200 and something thousand views at this point. A handful of comments have been negative. Like, I mean, like a handful. Like, I'm talking like 10, maybe 12 comments have been negative. And that's crazy to me. That is crazy to me that everybody here is so positive and that all the comments are so positive. It's just incredible. Okay, KP, no problem. I'm probably another end of this chapter and then we're done. But yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. to be honest. And this is just an extension of that. Is being here and hanging out with you guys. You know. Oh, thanks, Randy. I appreciate it. I want this to be a positive space for us all to just chat. You know, because it can be hard to do. Not everybody's going to be interested in the things that you're interested in, and you know, especially to a degree where it borders on too much at times. So it makes sense for us all to like stuff together. And yeah, awesome. Right, so she's holding the trophy, and so then is it Kuki? I don't know how to pronounce her name. I apologize. She blurts out that Ida Shiratori, it's her. And Ida says that she quit because it was a pain in the neck. She forced her to stop playing piano and then just quit. But I guess it shows how driven Ida is. By the way, she's crazy. Oh, thanks, John. I appreciate that. Yeah, no. Look, to be honest, like there was a small kind of like period of time where some people who I wouldn't even call like the core fan base were acting really strange on Twitter. I didn't even want to I didn't even entertain it. I didn't even talk about it because it's like I don't like breathing oxygen into really toxic conversations that were happening there. But this is the community for me, right? This is like the community that I feel is representative of what this conversation could be and should be, right? It's just we all like the same thing. Maybe we like it in different ways or for different reasons, and that's fine with me. You know? A follow-up, maybe. I mean, I guess it would probably have to be... I suppose a follow-up would probably have to be once the manga's gotten along quite a bit. We could maybe do... I probably would do something to do with how they shift into an actual full-blown relationship, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That video is... I love that video that I did, to be honest. I'm really proud of it, and it's like... Yeah, I'm proud of all of them in different ways, but that one's like... Because it came like really from somewhere really deep inside. Like for me, I was just like... You know, I needed... Like, I didn't make that out of any kind of like desire to start doing content for it. It was just I had to make it. I couldn't not talk about it, and I needed to make it. It was obsession given form, and when I finished it, I felt so much lighter, and it led to this incredible thing. So that's just great for me. Yeah. To be honest, my favorite anime is probably this. It's probably Dandadan, right? But you know, I love Cowboy Bebop. Big fan of Cowboy Bebop. I that's a good example of something that's really contained, but perfect. Yeah. Hopefully this is close to contained and perfect rather than diluted over time, right? Anyway, Ida says that she should be grateful for her parents paying for her piano lessons so that she could play at all. And it turns into an argument. Honestly, Ida is so aggressive. Like, she doesn't even, like, at this point, she doesn't even really kind of, like, look like a popular girl. Like, really. She doesn't really carry herself in that same way anymore. And then we get this panel of everybody talking and everybody having their own conversations. Ida and Yuki are talking, and Rin shows up. She sewed the tops for them, so did Vamola. And then Okurun and Momo are having like a little chat, a little hangout session. And then we see Kinta in bed, knocked out. injured. And I love the way that Gigi refers to people. He just calls him Kin-chan. Is your nose all coolio? What on earth is this guy about? He's so strange. And then he indicates that he wants a girl to worry about him, that he hates men. Which is quite funny because none of the girls have come to see him. Which is terrible, but hey, I mean, you know, he's lacking. Guy's lacking. He's fallen behind in that regard. Okay, right. That's the end of that chapter. We're on chapter 176. Remember it. And that's where we'll start again next week. Maybe we could get through the rest of it next week. I don't know. Maybe. Probably not. Depends how many tangents we go on. I mean, it'll be the same time, I think. I think for me, it's 10 p.m. when I start. But that, I feel like, it's not so late that people can't jump on over here in the UK and stuff. But also, it kind of encapsulates some of the US a bit. I don't know how many of you are from the States. My analytics seem to show that the majority of people who watch are stateside. And I don't want to cut anybody out. I mean, but, yeah. I mean, I don't know. If this time works for everybody else, then cool. Works for me. Yeah. Thanks, Pickle. I appreciate you saying that. Honestly, like, the subscriber count is incredible to see it grow, and it's really humbling to see so many people engage with my content. Like, but it's the comments. It really is the comments that mean that really mean everything. Is seeing people saying stuff to me is like, you know, like when you sit and you work on something for weeks, and then you see people actually respond to it, and people watching it, and you see there was a crazy kind of moment for me with the first Momo and Okarun video where I looked at the watch hours and it was like years. People have watched years worth of it in like a month and a half, like 3 or 4 years, and I was just like, whoa, that is wild. That's yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable, to be honest. Like, it's incredible. Okay, that's great. 2:15 over there. That's great. Yeah. See you next week. Yes. Yeah, not goodbye. There won't be a video analysis this week. Maybe next week. Honestly, I'm still trying to figure out the exact day of the week to release stuff. I'm still in the writing stage at the moment. Yeah, it probably won't be next week. It might be the week after that. So not this week or next week. Maybe the week after that, or the tail end of next week. New video, just because I'm still in the early stages of it. Just to make sure that the quality is always going to be there. You know, like, I know that you guys want to make sure that, like, I do feel like some degree of pressure to kind of make sure that there's a consistent schedule to things. I really want 2 videos a month. 2 videos a month out would be ideal for me, and I am hoping to get the arcs done, or at least mostly done, by the time that season 2 rolls around. I was also really hoping to do a kind of like sort of episode 0 for the arcs, and just do like the whole of season 1, because there's so much footage in there, so I could actually, you know, like, because at the moment I started on the Cursed House arc, and I could just go back and do videos on the Serpo arc and the first arc, like the Turbo Granny stuff, but they are really short. So, you know, I feel like a whole season 1 kind of episode 0 would be great, I think, for maybe June. And then we could all just kind of recap season 1 in a really big way as well, you know. Yeah, thanks guys, appreciate that. Yeah. But like keeping to a schedule is definitely good for me, just because it forces me to make sure I'm doing stuff rather than letting it fall to the side. Because like you go, honestly, it's a crazy experience, and I'm rambling now, but it's a crazy experience because every single stage you go through, at least I do when I'm writing this stuff or whatever, I go through stages of this is excellent, really good stuff, to I hate what I'm writing, to actually this is really good, to I'm not enjoying this at all, people aren't going to watch it, to actually this is good. It's a whirlwind every single time, but that's part of the process for me. And I appreciate you all saying that. That's very meaningful to me. Having that confidence that people are going to stay there is great as well. Yeah, I know, Tim. Like, I like the watch time thing for me. Like, I was shook. I was like frozen. But really, my point with the analytics and the numbers and stuff is that it just means so much that real people are, because like you see YouTube now is filled with so much content that's almost made to be churned in a way, and that's fine. Like that's how businesses work. But I think it's easy to forget that the algorithm is people like you, just people who are watching it and enjoying it. That it's easy to forget that people are connecting with your stuff, and that's the whole point. And that's the point for me is having people watch it and really enjoy it. And you guys do that, and there are lots of other people that have also enjoyed them. So yeah, that's it. Thanks, Orbis. Yeah. Well, this is part of why I thought the streams would be so good, is because it gives us that opportunity to check in with each other every now and then. All of us get into a good chat and stuff without having to dedicate lots of time to doing something like edited and stuff like that. I can just do this and then upload the stream with a thumbnail, and then anybody who wants to watch it, you know, I don't have any expectations for these videos really. It's mainly just for the subscribers and guys like you who are part of the experience to go back and rewatch it, experience whatever, and just have a chat. This is a completely different thing from the videos in the best kind of way, because we're able to just back and forth, and it's awesome. Like really, this is like I had no expectations about the stream. It could have been a disaster as far as I was concerned last week, but it has been so successful. Not even like views or whatever, or metrics, crap like that. I mean like in engaging, like us engaging. That to me, that's the real success of these streams, and the fact that we can do them as much as we want without having to worry about I need to dedicate however much time aside for it. We can just sit here for an hour, 2 hours a week and just shoot it. You know, just go for it. And then presumably when the episodes are running again, we can just do that again. It could even be like maybe one week when if there's another hiatus, maybe we just review episodes. Like we go away, watch an episode ready for this week, and then we just talk it over. I don't know. I'll probably make some post or something in the future to ask what people want to do in some of these streams as we go, just so that we can kind of maybe figure out some stuff in the future, you know, like just to cat just so that we can all kind of like, that is terrifying. Can you see the light in her eyes there? That's scary. yeah, just so that we can all kind of like have a say. I really want to run things kind of democratically here a bit. Like I want to know what you guys want to do. Occasionally I'll just shove something up that's completely out of the blue, or a different topic completely, and hope that you guys all engage with it. But it will all be in the same kind of wheelhouse for sure, you know. So awesome, great. Her name is Sky. Her name is Sky. I didn't name her Sky. We adopted her. I would have named her something more fun, personally. You know, I've got a few names in the back pocket for when I have another pet in the future. But we like she's an old lady. She's a turbo granny. She's 15 in like a month, 2 months. So she's old. She old. So she can be a turbo granny. Yes, the emojis. The emojis. I could probably make some new emojis now, guys, so thank you. Because you need to unlock them with different level membership. Like, more people means that you can do more emojis. So if any of you know what you want from that, you know, we'll see. Wow, 20 is crazy. To be fair, she's not slowed down at all. She is like as active as she was when she was a kitten, right? Like she was always in my family, but I adopted her when she got old. So yeah. Right, guys. That's it. I probably should head off, but this has been a highlight. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for enjoying the channel. I hope that you liked the last video. I enjoyed the premiere. I enjoyed the stream. Yeah, pretty amazing overall. But yeah, I agree, Danny. I think that there's a lot of potential here for people to grow closer. Definitely. Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks. It's great to see so many of the same faces as well. All right. Okay then, guys. Peace out. Until next week. Bye.